Yo, what up? This is RTQ. I'm Josie, and I'm coming to you with a purple wave. That means we're going to switch between green and blue light right through the video. Anyway, let's get started. And the first book I want to talk about is Women's Fight. It's by Martha Breen and Jenny Jordal, and it's a picture book. So it looks like this. And it's deceptively simple. It actually does a very good job of talking about women's fight, first for political rights, then for rights at the workplace, then for abortion rights, etc. I found that people online were saying that, oh, it should have covered this or that, but in my opinion, it's just an introduction. So you read through this, and then you have the basis where to look to more advanced books to read what you're more interested about, etc. And also some people were saying that it's a bit disjointed at the end. It talks about Malala and Sappho and some other things, but I thought that it complemented the big story, and I enjoyed reading it. It's right now selling at a discount in Apollo, I thought, yeah. So if you're interested, go check it out. I bought one for myself and one for my school. Now the second book is also a very thin one. It's called Asia's Civilizations, and it's about Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Southeast Asian countries. It was the only book that had Korean history in Estonian, which is kind of wild to me, but I checked it out from the library because I was interested to see what are they telling, and they had like 2 pages on it, and this is something that I noticed, that it's quite different. It talks a lot about Chinese and Indian civilization, so not the Indian, the Indus, and then the Indian. The Southeast Asia, Korea, and even Japan are more briefly touched upon. This reminds me a lot of the books I was reading when I was growing up. It has a weird mix, so it has a lot of pictures, it has like a lot of facts here, and then it has random artifacts that they have found. I don't know if it makes it more interesting for children to read it like that, but yeah, I really liked it. I want to find one for myself, especially for the Korean part. And then the first part of it, the Indus Valley Civilization. Oh, every time I read about it, it's so fascinating. I hope they can decipher the language during my lifetime so we learn more about it. But yes, very thin, but packs a lot. Now, if we go forward, do we go forward? What's the next one? Okay, let's talk about this one. It's called Tallinn's Marketplaces, or Tallinn's Bazaars, I guess. And it says in a smaller title that it's about cheating and everything else interesting that went on in those Tallinn marketplaces through the times. This is a lie. They only talk about like 60-year period. They have a very small thing at the beginning about Middle Ages, and that's it. Oh, the author is Arne Ruben, and the thin one was Neil Morrison, question mark? Anyway, this book is all over the place. It has some potential. It has a few interesting historical sources from archives. It has pretty nice pictures, which do well complementing the story. But the story, it's just all over the place. It has several stories that are not connected to marketplaces at all. It also talks about his grandma a lot, who used to sell things at marketplaces. I'm sorry, I don't care. I don't care about your grandma, and that sounds terrible. But this topic is so good. He did also a book about the witches' trials in Estonia, which was really nice. So maybe it was my fault for expecting more, but yeah, it could have benefited from more time spent researching this, or better work from the editor. Anyway, I mean, it was fine. And now let's do one book that was also just fine, and it's Cleopatra, Great Lives in Graphics. Like it says, it's all about graphics. It's for a very young reader, I would say. Although some of the topics covered are not for young readers, they had it for a very cheap price, so I thought that I would just get it and throw it at the back of my classroom for anybody who's interested. It has Cleopatra's life as a timeline. It has some things about Alexandria. It has her family line. It has only one page about how intelligent and awesome she was, and then it's all about like her husbands and birthdays, weddings and stuff like that. I mean, I'm glad I didn't spend a lot of money on it. I know that they have one on Anne Frank, so I'm curious to see what that book is like. But as it is, it's just fine. It's less than fine. I didn't like it. No, it's fine. It's fine. Let's leave the history behind for a second and talk about something completely different. This is a young adult book called Idol Gossip by Alexandra Leigh Young, and it's a K-pop dream come true. And I would say that a dream is very good description of this book. It's something along the lines that I used to dream up when I was trying to get to sleep and imagining that I could be a famous singer. I didn't imagine that, but because my voice, no. But just imagining a scenario. So this is everything like that. Suddenly she gets scouted for a K-pop group, and she doesn't know much about K-pop, which is like... the protagonist herself is quite unlikable, and you could see where the author was going, trying to create conflict with that, but you could have done it in a way that we would have been rooting for her, because she was not very likable. What I do appreciate about this is that it has no romance. Yay! Kudos for that. It isn't, oh, I fall in love with an idol boy. Like, I don't care. But yes, it doesn't go into detail about all the bad things about idol life or trainee life. It's very much scratching only the surface. It's a nice, simple book. But I hope that going forward, I see more interesting books about K-pop life tackling it. But I like the book cover. It was cute and I don't mind. Back to history. The book that I actually bought in Japan, Past Mistakes. How We Misinterpret History and Why It Matters by David Mountain. I bought it there, didn't read it, brought it back. And when I was opening it up to go through table of contents, I was like, why did I pick it? Because the table of contents are the topics that this talks about. How barbarians, vandals, and others are a victim of slander. I knew that. How there was light in the dark ages. I knew that. And how Columbus didn't discover America. Tell me somebody who thinks that he was the one who discovered it. I was a bit apprehensive reading it, especially because the author started with saying that he's not a professional historian. So, but he had found really, really interesting things, really interesting facts among these topics that I had never heard about. That Columbus was a terrible human being. I did not know that. He was terrible. I found myself hating the guy. The other thing is that the stuff about Pythagoras being actual cult leader, interesting, fascinating. He didn't come up with the Pythagoras theorem. Everybody remembers that from the math classes, but it wasn't him. I mean, it makes sense because Egyptians and Mesopotamians used that before his time, but apparently in Anglo-American history, he's remembered by being a discoverer of a lot of other things. And it turns out that he discovered none of them. It was all just said that he did it by his followers, his cult followers, and also what they discovered after his death already was contributed to him. That was really interesting. I found that all of this very interesting. It was an easy read. I was reading this together with another history book called Metropole, which is about the history of cities. And for some reason, even though they were different topics, they kind of like went with the same pace forward in history, and they complemented each other really well. I enjoyed that. But anyway, I'll talk about Metropole in December. I really liked it. Oh, by the way, yeah, the fact that the statues used to be colorful, and now the whiteness that people worship and find so elegant is actually a product of these colors just falling off. I knew that, but his descriptions of how it must have looked like made it so much more vivid in my mind that I enjoyed it a lot. I've been talking about this a lot. I suggest you read it if you ever come across it. Now let's talk about something controversial. It's called Girl Crush by Florence Given. And when I started it, I was like, oh, I really like this book. Like, it has nice pacing. The telling of stories very well done. It's engaging. I went to add it on Goodreads, and people were hating it. People were absolutely hating it. Apparently, there were even reviews about people who said, I have not read this, but I followed the Twitter thread that was reading it. Okay, sure, maybe you should have read it. It does start out quite like man-hating because the protagonist is a bi woman who breaks up with her boyfriend of 6 years and then tries to live her new bi life. And yeah, it is man-hating. Like, there's no reason for it to be that bad, but anyway, I find it gets better as you move towards the middle of the book. The ending is absolutely crazy. But why not? Why not? It's just for entertainment. So yes, it's quite controversial. I liked it, but maybe I liked just the topic and the style of writing. Maybe I should just read something similar that isn't that problematic. But yes, as it is, these were my thoughts on it. And if you see it, just give it a go, see what you think. I understand what people find problematic about it, but yeah. The last and not least is I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki, and it's by Park Se-hye. It's quite an interesting book. I have wanted to read this for a while, and it is basically 3 different parts. So the first one is just the conversations she has with her psychiatrist. These are very candid, and it's not something I can really relate to, but I recognized one of my friends in these conversations, and I found that I can kind of understand her a bit better, or where she's coming from. The second part is the conclusions or thought bubbles she has about the conversations, and then completely like out of the left field, the last part of the book is basically like literature, like novel-like pieces about her character and life, and they are so different from the other two parts. It made me like the book more. So it made it more 3D. It made it she was more likable. I found myself going like, oh, let me turn another page. Let me turn another page. What more can I find out? But yes, I have heard that some people have tried to read it, not read it, but have lent it out as an audiobook. I suggest you read it as a book because the formatting is quite interesting and I feel like it adds to the experience. I'm not sure if it's like that with all East Asian authors or if it's just her, but it makes me more curious to read more books by Korean or Japanese authors to check out what their style is like. But yes, it was also, this title is very misleading. From her words, I understood that she had light to medium depression, which was just very persistent. I was expecting something else. It was not really something I could relate to a lot, but that was the aim of reading it, because I thought that I could relate a lot. It was an experience, and I think I am very happy that I read it because it offered me something different. That's it. So these were all the books I read in November. That's quite a bit, and they all were pretty different. I feel I'm very happy with what I managed to learn and experience with them. I have some things coming up in December, so be sure to follow me. As for this video, thank you so much for watching. Take care and see you next time. Bye!